Hello, in this video I'm going to do a hands-on guide for the night market, how you should farm it basically daily and how you can get access to all of the stuff in the night market. I know there's probably a ton of guides out there, but I'm going to kind of put my own twist on the guide here and kind of try to do a deep dive in terms of how or I should say where everything is located so that you can find stuff a little bit easier if you've never been in there. So what we're going to do is go to a way shrine, and what you want to do is back out to this menu here where you can see the whole globe basically. You're going to go to Fargrave, and then the instance is right here, the event zone. You don't have to have access to this way shrine. You can just travel in just like a dungeon or any other zone like that. Um, so we're just going to drop in from the Blackwood way shrine here, and I'll walk you through what to do very first and where everything is laid out in the main market area. So I will say the very first thing that you want to do when you get into the night market is you're going to want to run through this initial tunnel here and talk to, or not even really a tunnel, they start you right off in the middle. You're going to want to speak to the curator and pick up his quest. He's the one that's going to give you the quest to figure out which faction you want to claim, or I should say, allegiance to. So you get him, and then when you get his mission, you're going to need to talk to all three factions. There's the Glittering Goad, the Thousand Eyes. So here's the Glittering Goad, here the Thousand Eyes section, and then over here is the Ruckus. So you need to talk to each one of those, and then you can make your decision as to which faction you want to um, join or be faithful to for this cycle. The night market is going to come around at least 2 more times. So basically, whichever one you choose this time, when it comes around next time, you want to choose something different because there are um, achievements in the night market here that you can only get when you're going for specific factions and things like that. So basically, the overall gist is you're trying to win favor for your faction. And I have joined the Thousand Eyes faction, and as you can see on the bottom left hand corner of the screen, that will track your uh, favors that you have incurred already. Now I will say that this selection that you do, whichever faction you choose, is account wide, so you can bring however many characters you have in here, and it's locked across your entire account. So once you make that choice, you're pretty much locked in. So there are 3 districts that you go into. There is the Skittering Precinct, the Sorrow's Friend, and then the Parch. So those are the 3 areas. In each area, there are different bosses. There's basically 3 different levels of bosses. If you go in here and you find there are several different achievements, I'm not going to go through all of these because that would be a really long video. But as you can see, there are several different bosses that you can fight. There are puzzles, and there are relics that you can obtain. So I'm going to cover the relics in a little bit, but basically there are uh, 3 levels of bosses: the brooding ones, the larger ones. Let me just run into the district over here so I can show you. But really quickly, before I go into the district, I'm going to show you the vendor. So this is true for the, well, I'll do the daily missions as well. So for each one of these districts, there are daily missions like this here. You can pick up, or I should say daily quest givers out here in the main zone. Um, that guy's mission is just to go in there and kill certain uh, enemies, or a number of enemies. I'll just pick it up so you can see. And I have to kill 25 enemies in order to finish his mission. And he'll give you a box. Here's the unmoored I believe I still have her mission. And then there's another zone over here. You can pick up a mission and go into Sorrow's Friend. So that's basically how you get your dailies. And then also you can get a daily from your faction leader. So I'll run up to my faction leader and I'll show you that as well. So you're going to run up to your zone. This is where the Thousand Eyes is. And when you come in here, there is a merchant. You're going to want to look for the merchant here. This is when you start getting favor. This is the stuff that you can buy for gold. But I will say you have to have earned enough favor for each one of these in order to be purchasable. So keep that in mind. But this is where you can buy a lot of the stuff that's tied into the night market. So we're going to go over to the faction leader here. And you can pick up a mission from them as well. So in addition to those missions, you can also pick up mini quests inside of the districts themselves. There are some things to pick up inside of the district. They're just kind of scattered, much like you would find overland little side quests, isolated incidents, we'll call it that. But when you get inside, here's the Skittering Precinct. This is kind of the spider poison area. But if you look on the map here like this right here is the Calamitous boss. This is one of the bosses that you have to kill to get the fragment for the area. There are 2 fragments in each district, and then you'll get the basically the ability to clear off areas. Like this right here is a mini game. You can extinguish. This is race to kill the spider webs. So as you can see, the big hordes here, and you burn the spider webs here like that. And so if you're coming in here by yourself, you really got to be on a really good build because this stuff really hits hard. As you can see, I'm getting absolutely whipped. There you go. So there are a lot of very hard hitting items or enemies in here. I would recommend coming in here with a group. Maybe not necessarily group up in terms of going into the social and grouping this way, because that's going to do a couple of things for you that may be not as beneficial. We'll put it that way. For one, if you're going to run in here, the Ring of the Pale Order is really going to help you a lot. And if you're grouped together, that's going to reduce the effectiveness of this. So maybe just join a PlayStation party or a guild chat or something like that if you're running with guildies, and coordinate that way without actually physically grouping up. Keep that in mind. That's going to probably help you quite a bit. Let's just see if I can find an area here that shows. Okay, this is another mini game here down low there. You step on those petals there on the ground, and then the spiders will come down where the flames are, and you have to burn the spiders before they get to the bottom. But there are, as you can see, there's a big wandering boss right there. That's one of the Calamitous bosses for this area. And the secret item that you need to get for this area opens up your ability to, as you can see over here across the way, there is a grappling post there. In order to reach that, you have to get the secret item for this area. And you can keep track of that in the journal and in the achievements. There are trackers in here for how many of the pieces for each one that you have. I'm not quite sure where it is, but there is an achievement tracker in here for each of the items that you need for, and then there's trackers for the how many favors you have. So for example, I'm tied to the Eyes of Thousand Eyes faction. I won't be able to participate in the Ruckus contributor this time or the Goad contributor. because I only have access to giving this faction favor this time. So just keep that in mind. You'll have to go in and kill the Calamitous enemies, like I said, in order to get the particles to be able to jump around in here. When you kill the Calamitous boss, you'll get keys, and that's how you access the dungeon in the zone. You kill the 2 Calamitous bosses in the dungeon, or excuse me, in the district or precinct, and then you can go into the dungeon. There's only a boss in here. It's not like a traditional dungeon. It's basically a boss fight. When you kill the boss, it consumes your keys, and then you'll have to go kill bosses again to go back inside of here. There is also a skirmish, which is the very center here. This boss only launches once per hour. So if this is active, you definitely want to try to come in here and get to that. That's going to be an important thing to look at. If you can see this jump pad icon, this is where you're going to want to look for, I believe this is the pad you want to go to. Whenever you pick up missions inside the district, this pad right here is where you're going to have to turn them in. And so you'll need to run to this point to finalize and turn in and collect your boxes, your reward boxes. There's a bunch of random stuff that can drop from those. So that's a good idea to keep an eye on those. Before I close out the video, I'm just going to make a couple recommendations for your build. Like I said, I would recommend not actually physically grouping so that you can take advantage of the potency of the Ring of the Pale Order in its full capacity. If you absolutely are going to group with people, I would negate doing the Ring of the Pale Order and then instead use Revening Blows as a slottable, and then you can implement something else like increasing your healing done, which should increase your healing from this as well. Little things like that. Or you can bring a healer, but just a quick kind of spotlight on what type of gear to bring in here. I am about 90% sure that Trials gear sets are kind of obsolete in terms of benefiting from Minor Slayer or Minor Aegis. So there might be a trial set in this makeup here, maybe something from Ethereum Archive where the Slayer bonus is not present. Might be beneficial to use, but like for example, the traditional Pearlescent Ward, rest of the set absolutely works, but you're not going to benefit from Minor Aegis or Minor Slayer if you're wearing Coral Rip Tide, that kind of thing. So just a thing to think about, not necessarily something that you're going to absolutely not do, but just keep in mind. One more small caveat. If you are going to group with, or I should say not group with somebody and just kind of run around in a herd, kind of keep track of what your gear sets say specifically in their tooltip. For example, we'll just look at Spell Power Cure, very common set for healers. If you look at the very bottom, it says heal yourself or an ally. So that means that they're just on your side basically, and that's very important language to look at. For example, if you go into, we'll just look at Depths of Malatar, and we'll look at Symphony of Blades. The verbiage on this is different. It says when you heal a group member. So that right there implies that they have to be in your group to get the benefit from that. So be careful which gear sets you're going to run in here. If you're going to run around loose and just kind of follow the herd and you're looking to benefit others in a support role, either a tank or a healer, just make sure you're not running a set that's really not doing anything. And keep that in mind. If you're just running around loose like that, then you might want to make sure you're actually running something that's actually going to either benefit you or benefit the people that you're running with, so that you're not kind of just wasting your gear slots there. But long way to say it, just keep track of that. I am going to do some more videos on this, recommended build setups for different roles. I have a tank build that works pretty well and a healer setup that works really well. Both of those in mind of being the ungrouped kind of running around in a herd type of situation. And then I'm working on getting a DPS build together as well. Also for the ungrouped kind of scenario. Obviously, if you're grouped, you can kind of go to the same plain Jane setup of running spell power cure on the healer and that kind of thing because you're in a group and it's going to work. But when you're running around loose like this, kind of almost like in a PvP zone, those sets cannot work as well because you're not actually grouped with somebody. So keep that in mind. But I am going to end the video here. If you thought this video was helpful or interesting, please check out my YouTube channel. I have over 300 videos on the Elder Scrolls Online. They are all organized by playlists on my YouTube channel. If you go to my channel and go down to my created playlist, you'll be able to find all of my organized videos there. Please consider liking and subscribing and turning on your notification bell so you get notified when I do create new content. One more thing, I kind of touched on it just a little bit, but this right here is an example of in district games. There are several different games in each. I think there's maybe 2 different games in each zone, and so keep that in mind. If you're using add-ons, I would really highly recommend implementing the mini map. That really helps running around in here. One thing that they didn't add on here is the barriers that you can't run around. It makes it kind of difficult to figure out whether or not you can go somewhere. You can kind of get running down the wrong way and find out, okay, you got to go all the way around. That will open up things quite a bit by getting the emotes or the special item to open up the district all the way. I would recommend on working that as soon as possible, and that would be probably the easiest thing to do. Just keep in mind, it doesn't really matter that much which faction you are going to join. So best thing to do is right when you get in here, pick your faction and get to work on whatever you're wanting to do. You can group with anybody you want to and go into the districts and work on those however you want. It doesn't matter if they're loyal to another faction. When you kill the bosses, you get there's an orb to consume for the favor. And then once you get your favor up, you can start buying things from the merchant. But that was a long-winded goodbye, but thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye.